Morning. Welcome back to session 8 of chapter 1 of company law. From last few sessions we have been discussing the types of companies where we have reached to the last type, that is other categories of companies. Means few companies which cannot be categorized to either category. So these companies are categorized under other companies. So we are moving on to the next third type, that is family companies. Here, family companies are established by a single family, incorporated by a single family with family members, friends and relatives. To establish a company, all of us know that members are needed. So family members, relatives and friends become the dummy members of newly formed company, and just for the sake of membership, the person who is going to start up a company will appoint the members. The members may be friends, relatives or the family members. The same we have seen in Solomon versus Solomon Company Limited case, where Mr. Solomon wanted to establish a company and the members of Solomon Company were the family members of him. So his wife and his children. Here they won't take part in the business actively. Rather, the head of the family or the person from the family who is going to start up the business will control every issue. And the controlling authority will be rested in the hands of one family member, and remaining family members are just for namesake becoming the members. So such a business, it is also valid of course, such a business is called family companies. Next one, moving on to the next one person company. Here, under the provisions of Companies Act of 1956, there was no permission to set up one person company. But under the provisions of Companies Act of 2013, it is available the permission is available for a single entrepreneur to establish a company. Okay. Normally, to study some critical issues, experts committee is appointed by the government, by the law, by the judicial system. Okay. So this J.J. Irani, in that way, J.J. Irani expert committee was appointed, and it has recommended that formation of one person company is legally valid. And as per the recommendations, a single entrepreneur is now able to set up a corporate unit. To call a company as private company, minimum number of members should be added is 2. Okay. So here the entrepreneurs now can incorporate a company where he can delegate his his obligations, where he can share his obligations with the company. He can some more persons, means the company will come to shoulder a part of his responsibility too, means the risk can be mitigated. Okay. And now the foreign companies can set up wholly owned subsidiaries in India, and the permission was not available earlier to set up fully owned subsidiaries in India as per the provisions of previous Companies Acts. And now most of the foreign companies are having fully owned subsidiaries in India. They are performing operations, and single persons are coming over to India and establish their own business units over here. And it will not require any divesting any part of a stake in such subsidiaries to group or subsidiary companies. Okay. In the sense, they need not take the help of any other subsidiaries which are there in India, if say for example if a foreign company is owning 2 to 3 subsidiaries in India, and each subsidiary need not maintain any connection in between, rather they can perform business activities isolately. Okay, so this is mentioned here. And here, what about the memorandum of association for one person setup company? If it is a one person company, in memorandum of association, they have to, the person who is going to start up a company, according to section 2 subsection 62 and section 3 subsection 1 subsection C of Companies Act of 2013, if a single person is going to start a company, okay, he has to mention another person's name in his memorandum of association, because at the time of death, or if something happens to the person who is starting up a company, and the next person will continue as the member, and again the registrar will take a written consent from him in a prescribed form. Okay, so during the time of incapacity to contract, or during the time of death, or if something happens to the founder of the company, because single member is there, right? So unlike the companies, joint stock companies, here we see a single member performing all the activities and shouldering all the responsibilities. So another person's, another party's, then the successor's name is to be mentioned in the memorandum of association. This is about one person company. And needless to say that one person company should not be established for the purpose of serving people, that is non-profit association. It always gets formed for the purpose of getting profit. Means all the companies which are of one person company get established for profit, means profit associations. Okay, here it's important for us to note that one person company can only be formed as private limited company. According to section 3 of Companies Act, one person company gets established only for the purpose of making profit, as well as it will be a private limited company. And some of the provisions, some of the relaxations are stated. Okay, for one person company, some relaxations are there. Here, the first one, note these relaxations. Okay, first one means some liberal, the rules are liberalized to some extent. There is no need to prepare a cash flow statement according to section 2 subsection 40. If it is a one man company, one person company, it need not prepare cash flow statement, unlike a joint stock company. There is no necessity to have annual general body meeting according to section 96. A one person company need not have general body meeting. And next one, so these are some liberalizations. Okay, next one, the annual return can be signed by the director and not necessarily a company secretary. Always in joint stock companies, annual return will be signed by the company secretary, and here signed by the director only, because members will not be there, secretary will not be there, a single person is conducting the business. Next one, fourth relaxation, provisions related to general body meeting and extraordinary general body meeting would not apply according to section 100 to 111. Here, general body meeting, you know the meaning of general body meeting very well. General body meeting and extraordinary general body meetings will not apply. And next one, it would sufficient if one director signs the audited financial statement. Okay, all the directors, majority of the directors need not sign, rather the liberalization is it is restricted, or there is a relaxation that only one director putting his signature on the financial statement is enough. And next one, here Financial statement can be filed within 6 months from the closure of financial year as against 30 days. Okay. In companies, within 30 days financial results should be submitted, whereas if it is a one person company, within 6 months submission is enough. Next, complaints can be said to have been done if the resolutions are entered in minutes book of the company. Okay. When as and when the meeting takes place, writing the agendas in the minute book is sufficient. Next, it need not one more here. Once in 6 months it must hold general body meeting, and it should not be less than 90 days. Okay, and the gap between two meetings should not be less than 90 days. Here, only a natural person can be a member of one person company. Next one is, in the sense here, a human being can be the member of one person company, not the other persons. Next one, the words one person company shall be mentioned in the back. Here, a special feature which says that if it is in all the letters and in all the formal letters which are originating from one person company, should be affixed the word one person company in bracket. Okay. And next one, minimum number of directors required for one person company is only one, according to section 149 subsection 1. And next liberalization is, it needless to say that the person who is going to start up a one person company will become the first director of it. Okay. And last one is, no minor shall become the member or nominee of the one person company, or can hold the share with the beneficial interest. Minor should not be appointed as a successor. Okay, this is one person company. And moving on to the next one, small company. It's quite interesting part of types of companies that a small company can also be established as per the provisions of Companies Act of 2013. So, Companies Act of 2013 introduced this new concept of framing a small company, which means on the basis of turnover, the company is categorized as a small company. Okay, and obviously it's not a private public company. Okay, it is other than a public company which is having paid up share capital not exceeding 50 lakhs rupees. Not on the basis of turnover. Here, one thing I want to bring to your attention, that on the basis of total paid up capital of the company, the size of company is determined, whether it is a small company or large company. If it is a small company, the capital, total paid up capital, not the subscribed capital, total paid up share capital should not exceed 50 lakhs, or such higher amount as may be prescribed, we shall not be more than 5 crores. Okay, if higher amount is needed for a small company, more than 50 lakhs, of course permission is available, but however it should not cross 5 crore rupees. Okay, and turnover of which as per its last profit and loss account does not exceed 2 crore rupees. As the higher amount, if prescribed, it shall not be more than 20 crore rupees. Okay, if the paid up capital is within 50 lakhs, is called a small company, and if higher rate is prescribed, it should not cross 5 crores. Okay, and on the basis of turnover, okay, firstly I said on the basis of turnover it will be decided, right? So on the basis of paid up capital as well as a turnover also, we can categorize a company as a small, medium and large. To call on the basis of a turnover a small company, it should not exceed 2 crores on the basis of last profit and loss account, and if higher rate is prescribed, it should not cross 20 crores. Okay, and applicability, if you see from the point of view of applicability also, this is not applicable in 3 circumstances, for 3 categories of companies. If it is a holding company or subsidiary company, controlling company and subsidiary company, the rule is not applicable. Either the paid up capital limit or the turnover limit is not applicable. And second one, if the companies are established under section 8 of 2013, means charitable organization, if the companies are established for charitable purpose, this rule is not applicable. And last one is, under any special resolutions of the act, if the companies are established, this rule is not applicable. Okay, and all the small companies are established for the purpose of minting profit, gaining profit, and this need not be a non-profit association. 2000 Companies Act of 2013, which allows a company to form and classified as dormant company. Here, dormant companies are inactive companies. In simple words to explain, dormant companies are inactive companies. Means in the last 2 financial years, they should not have submitted the financial results and paid any made any allotment of shares, and they must be inactive. Okay, they must be inactive in last 2 financial years. Such companies are called dormant companies. Okay, let's see further. Companies Act of 2013, which allows a company to form as dormant company. Okay, and why they are established? Just for holding the assets or intellectual properties of the company. Okay, and just to hold the assets, means fixed assets and intellectual properties of the company, even if they are not actively participating with the other companies, they retain their position. So such companies means in the last 2 financial years, if a company is inactive in its operation and just for the purpose of holding the assets or intellectual property of it, if it has retained its existence, these type of companies are called dormant companies. And they must not, to call a particular company as dormant company, they must not have any significant accounting transactions. Again, dormant company is a dormant company which retains its existence to hold assets or intellectual properties. The company must not have any significant accounting transaction in the last 2 financial years. An inactive company, it may be prescribed as dormant company. Okay, and it may obtain the status of a dormant company. Okay, it has to file an application with the registrar. Okay, an inactive company which must file an application with the registrar in such a manner as may be prescribed. Okay, there is a manner which is prescribed by law. So in such a manner as may be prescribed for obtaining the status of dormant company, which is explained in section 455. Let's see what are the issues involved in dormant company. What are the different aspects of dormant company. Here, the first one, the companies that can obtain the status of dormant company. Section 455 subsection 1. Here, the law says that where a company is formed and registered under this act for a future project or to hold an asset or intellectual property and has no significant accounting transaction, such a company or an inactive company may make an application to the registrar in such a manner as may be prescribed for obtaining the status of dormant company. Okay, the requirements to call a particular company as dormant company, they must not have significant accounting transactions in the last 2 financial years, and just for the purpose of holding their assets and intellectual property, they must have retained their existence, and they have to file an application with the registrar of companies to retain their position as dormant company. Okay, here we come across some strange words like inactive company. What might be the meaning of inactive company? Inactive company means a company which has not been carrying on any business operation and has not made any significant accounting transactions during last 2 financial years. Okay, and has not filed, of course, financial transactions. If not there is no need of preparing financial statements. So it has not filed any financial statements and annual returns during last 2 financial years. Okay, and next word, strange word, is significant accounting transaction. What might be the meaning of significant accounting transaction? Here, significant accounting transaction means transactions which are other than payment of fees by a company to registrar, payment made by the company under any of the provisions of any act. Okay, payments made by the company to fulfill any of the provisions of the act, any of the requirements of the act or under any law. And next one, for the allotment of shares to fulfill the requirements of the act, or for the maintenance of office records, if any payment should be made if it has not paid. Okay, so these payments should not be there. Significant accounting transaction means any allotment should not be made, any payments to fulfill the requirements of law should not be made, any payments for maintaining its office records should not be made, and any fees it should not have paid to the registrar. Okay, next one, authority to grant status of dormant company. Here, according to section 455 subsection 2, the registrar on consideration of the application, means as I said previously, a company to retain the position of dormant company must submit an application with the registrar of companies. Okay, so the registrar on consideration of the application shall allow the status of a dormant company to the applicant and issue a certificate in such a form as may be prescribed to that effect. And next one, register of dormant companies. How to get registered? The registrar of companies shall maintain a register of dormant companies in such a form may be prescribed. Section 455 subsection 3. Here, section 455 subsection 3 also states a registrar of companies will maintain a register of dormant companies. Okay, in that their name is included. And next one is notice. It's important to note that in case of a company which has not filed financial statements or annual returns for 2 financial years consecutively, the registrar may he soon issue the notice to a company. Means in his will and wish, he may issue a notice to the company to enter its name in the register of dormant companies so maintained. Okay, according to the form prescribed for the purpose. Section 455 subsection 4 explains it. Okay, next one, comply with prescribed compliances. Here, according to section 455 subsection 5, the dormant company shall have such a minimum number of directors, file such documents and pay such annual fees may be prescribed to the registrar to retain its dormant status. Okay, means with the minimum number of members, with minimum number of directors, it has to pay prescribed fees to retain its dormant status in the registrar of companies. Okay, otherwise it will become an inactive company, and when it pays fees by mentioning its minimum number of directors, it becomes an active company on the application made, and such documents and fees are retained by this dormant company. And next one, application to the registrar. Here, the dormant company may become an active company making an application to the registrar in this regard. It is as simple as this. Means if it as and when it wants to become an active company, it has to file an application with the registrar, and this application must be accompanied by the relevant documents like relevant documents and fees prescribed for the purpose. Okay, some documents are needed. Strike off. Next one. Here, the registrar shall strike off the name of a dormant company from the register of dormant companies which has failed to comply with the requirements according to section 455 subsection 6. In the sense, if a company after paying fees wants to become an active company, files an application, pays the fees fixed for the purpose, and submits an application with the registrar of company requiring to strike off its name from the dormant company's register. So if it complies with all the legal requirements mentioned for the purpose, the registrar of companies may strike off its name and cancel the position of dormant company, and it becomes an active company. Okay, and here next category of companies is associate company. See, it's a bit controversial to explain the meaning of associate company. Why? Because Companies Act of 2013, which defines an associate company as which is having significant influence over the other company and which is not a subsidiary company too. A company which has a significant in the activities of another company, which is having significant impact over the activities of another company, significant influence over the another company, and which is not a subsidiary. Okay, but it can include a joint venture company, a company which has a significant influence over another company and not a subsidiary of another company, or it may be a joint venture company. Means the other company is controlling its operations. Further, it has been explained that significant influence, here while explaining the meaning as per law, I have said that a company which has a significant influence over other company means significant influence means it shall mean control of at least having 20% of the total share capital or control of the business decision under an agreement. Means assume that there are two companies A and B. Okay, company B may have 20% of the stake, total share capital, with company A, and now the status of company A is associate company, associate of company B, according to section 2 subsection 6. The analysis of the provisions shows that an associate company is defined in relation to another company. How important it is for the main company, but it is not a subsidiary. We can't say that company A is a subsidiary of a company B. Okay, and a company is regarded as an associate company in the following circumstances. Okay, here one company becomes the associate company of another in the following circumstances. First one is when the other company has substantial influence over the associate company, and when the associate company is not a subsidiary of the main company, and the another company if it is a joint venture company. In such a case, in all three cases, the company is called associate company. And in simple words to explain the meaning of associate company as, a company is considered to be an associate company of the other company if the other company has a significant influence over such company or is a joint venture company. Here, the last category of companies is investment companies. According to Companies Act of 2013, any company, unless and otherwise it is prescribed, okay, the Companies Act must specially prescribe the companies as investment companies. They shall not make any investment through more than 2 layers of investment companies. Okay. Here, any company which shall not make any investment through more than 2 layers of investment companies, and this section is not applicable to the company which is acquiring any other company incorporated outside India, any subsidiary or any companies incorporated outside India. If a company is going to purchase any foreign company, this rule is not applicable. Means a company shall not make any investment. If it wants to make investments, it should not invest through more than 2 layers of investment companies. Okay. In a sense, the investment company directly it has to invest, either acquisition or whatever it is. If it wants to invest on another company, it should not take the help of 2 companies. It should not take the help of more than 2 companies. Here, this section may considerably restrict the flexibility of Indian companies in structuring their transactions. Means which restricts the Indian companies in structuring their transactions. The companies which are established for the purpose of making investments on another company, investments without taking the help of other companies, is called investment companies. Hope you understood. Thank you.